Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, today we're going to be talking about the debt ceiling and what we have to do to make sure we don't default on our bills. But first off, let's discuss what the debt ceiling is. The debt ceiling is not something to allow us to pass more debt in the future. In fact, the debt ceiling allows us to pay the bills that we already owe. And that's a lot of people don't get that. I see a lot of stuff on Facebook. People say that, that the Democrats are just trying to raise the debt ceiling so they can add more debt. But that's not what the debt ceiling is at all. The debt ceiling is about what we have already paid, we already owe, that we have to pay for. For example, that $2 trillion tax cut to billionaires in the previous administration. Now, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad stuff in our debt. And we all know this. We all know that Republicans and Democrats are equally responsible for what's in the debt. And we have to pay our bills. Regardless of if you agreed with what we've done in the past or if you didn't, we still have to pay our bills, right? From 20 years of war in Afghanistan, you had the 11 years of war in Iraq almost, and you had a lot of money being spent on the military. We have to pay for all that. So the debt ceiling isn't about new debt, it's about that debt. Right? The coronavirus packages we've had to take out in the last 2 years. 2 under the Trump administration, 1 under the Biden administration. These are things that we already owe. Education spending, healthcare spending, which we could also decrease. These are all things we have to pay for. Now, what happens if we don't raise the debt ceiling? We default on our bills. Now, think about it. What happens if you have a credit card and you don't pay it? That's right, it costs you more in the long run, right? Interest rates, late fees, blah, blah, blah. Well, something similar happens with the U.S. government. Our interest rates go up on our debt. Therefore, we owe more. We have to pay more to pay for our debt. That causes more issues with having to raise the debt ceiling even earlier. Because the higher the interest rates, the more you have to pay. And there you go. And this isn't a healthy thing to do. Running right up to the debt ceiling and then raising it. This is something we have to work on together, right? You would think. But Republicans in the Senate have said they're not doing it. They will not. Not one Republican will support raising the debt ceiling. Much of it on debt that they incurred. There are a lot of things we have to pay for in this country. Republicans have caused quite a bit of it. So have Democrats. But the fact that anybody in either party would choose not to raise the debt ceiling is absolutely ludicrous. It's beyond irresponsible. Now, we know the Republicans are a lost cause. There's no way to redeem them at this point when it comes to taking care of the responsibilities of this nation. They no longer care about the troops. They no longer care about anybody but the billionaires. But the problem is, this will hurt the billionaires too, because a lot of them will lose a lot of money. Mitch McConnell, a Republican from Kentucky, our Senate minority leader, has said his party won't do anything. We have 48 Democrats that are poised and ready to raise the debt ceiling, to be responsible, as you have to be as the party in power, supposedly. But are we? Are Democrats really in power? You see the two people that keep coming by the screen here. Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. These are two Democrats that claim to be Democrats anyway, who have joined the GOP in refusing to raise the debt ceiling. Now, here's the thing. Many people out there may not have known, or may not know, that the debt ceiling is about past debt, not new debt. These two know for a fact that this is about past debt, not new debt. These two fake Democrats are trying to sabotage the entire nation. Forget the Republican Party. We could do reconciliation very quickly and get it done and get it raised easily. All we have to do is get to 50 votes. Kamala Harris would break the tie. Debt ceiling raised. Responsibilities met. But the problem is, these two Democrats have refused. Joe Manchin, I've talked about on this channel in depth before. He's a terrible human being. He's a terrible congressman. And he needs to be removed. I would rather have a Republican sitting in that seat than Joe Manchin. Because even though a Republican would join the GOP, the rest of the GOP, and not want to raise the debt ceiling, at least we know where they stand. And that brings us to Kyrsten Sinema. This woman, I thought was going to be a great person in Congress. She seemed like a great person. But now she's willing to allow the failure of our entire economic system. She's decided that due to spreadsheets, that she doesn't want to raise the debt ceiling, knowing full well that the debt ceiling has nothing to do with anything in the future. But she refuses, claiming she doesn't want to add money to the deficit. Well, one, it's a little late for that. If I recall, she supported Joe Biden's coronavirus package. Yeah, it's a bit of a hypocrisy there, don't you think? Neither one of these people are willing to budge. They are willing to allow the federal government to default on its responsibilities. If I can find the numbers to their offices, their numbers will be in the description below. But these two need to know that the American people aren't going to stand for this. That the common person has to pay their bills. We have to pay our rent. We have to pay our lights. We have to pay whatever bills it is we have. Or our credit suffers. Why is the government trying to, skip out on their responsibilities? Most of us did not ask for the debt that is there. We didn't ask for 20 years of war. We didn't ask for over a decade of off-the-books spending for the military. And so at the end of the day, it is what it is. We have to raise the debt ceiling. And there's literally nothing else we can do about that. It has to be done, and it has to be done immediately. We have until October 18th before we default on our debt. And somehow we've got to convince these two fake Democrats over here to join the rest of the party and do what's right for America. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with some more videos later this week. Have a great day.